identity, misperception.
So how do you deal with self-identity
Misperception.
and misperception?
That was one question.
Okay, so self-identity. Well, I would say that, first of all, you have to be able to recognize and understand who you are when we're talking about your self-identity. And because we find ourselves living out dreams of others, it is hard to identify with who you are and kind of what your purpose is. I have examples for everything. I sit and think about when I was a little girl, and because I like to sing, I always wanted to play the keys. I wanted to play the piano.
Okay.
And so I remember my mother saying, "Nope, you won't be playing the piano, but you can play the strings." So I played the viola, and I played it for 10 years. And then my mom was she did paralegal work. So she worked for an attorney. And so, based on the life that I saw, I was like, ooh, I want to be an attorney. Right? So I go to school saying I want to be an attorney. Played the viola, I hated it. Stopped after 10 years because I wanted to play the piano because I like to sing and I wanted to sing and play the piano. And she was like, oh, we're not doing that whole singer thing. That's not going to be your goal or your focus to be a singer. Like, you're going to get a real job, So when we're talking about a self-identity, because so many people help to mold us, it makes it difficult for us to even recognize and understand like who we are and what our purpose is. And so when we are trying to find ourselves or find ourself to identify with, like, what do I identify with? Okay. That's when we kind of sit back and figure out who we are in terms of the things that we like to do, our worth, our esteem, all of those come into play. And that happens the more and more we experience life. Okay. Because like I said, starting out, I wanted to do the things that my mother wanted me to do. Okay, but then after I got my bachelor's degree in political science, I hated it. And I realized that that's not my identity. That's not a part of who I am. I don't even love it. I love what I do right now. I'm identifying with myself. Everything that I've had to endure, even from a little girl to now, I am 46 and I can identify with who I am and who God called me to be. And so I'm called to be a deliverer. I'm called to be somebody who is here to help to free people. I made the comment when we were off, get free and be free. That's what that's my self-identity. That was what I was created to do. And so when we're talking about understanding or recognizing or finding our self-identity, it is about a journey that we are walking on, because you start off identifying with somebody else. Okay. You identify with your parents. You identify with their dreams, and then they live through you. Have you talked to the parents who live through you? Or even the statement that I made, raising my kids. I've raised my kids how my parents raised me and what they didn't do to raise me. So when we're just talking about self-identity, it is about making those things, those teachable moments, begin to allow you to understand who you are.
Is there another question? I know there was maybe one more I want to say.
And so I hope I answered that.
We firing y'all. Everybody's
How
firing.
would you recommend someone support another in their healing process? So that's good.
Okay, so in order for an individual to support someone, in their healing process, you have to have some care and concern. It is so important. Dominique definitely mentioned, even if I was to use her as an example, she mentioned the fact that her father didn't do everything that she wanted him to do. He didn't do everything right. But in order for her to even start her healing, she had to understand and recognize at least who he was in order for her healing to start. So when we're talking about supporting someone in the healing, we have to be able to allow them to get to that place to recognize who they are so that the healing can start.
And can I add something to that?
Yes, ma'am.
Something that kind of helped me. I also needed people around me that weren't just my yes men.
Yes.
I needed some people around me that was going to hold me accountable, even though I was going through. And yeah, you do need people. Sometimes you do need some loving on, but sometimes you just need, you foul.
Right.
You
Absolutely.
foul and you wrong, and that's what a real friend does. That's what somebody that really cares for you does. So
Absolutely.
that accountability thing is big, but I mean, it shouldn't always just be okay. This and this and that. You should still be loving on that person. You know, if you genuinely care for them, you should be loving on them. But in loving on them, don't enable them.
Absolutely.
Don't enable them. So in the loving on them and, wanting them to be better, don't push them too hard, because it is a journey. It is a journey, and it does take time. So it is a journey. So in loving on them and pushing, you use your discretion with that. Especially for somebody that truly loves and cares for you, and and if you love and care for them, use your discretion.
And you have to have some patience, because when we're talking about healing, if you were to think about a wound, if I was to use, because I love analogies, that's my thing. So if we were to think about a wound, if you think about when you were a little kid and you fell and you got that scar, the first initial thing that you see is the blood, right? So you see all the bleeding. Okay, so then after the bleeding, after it, begins, the air hits it and it starts trying to heal, it gets that little ugly scab on the top of it, right? And so then every time something hit it, the scab comes off.
Come on.
Right? The scab comes off. But you know that it's still life under there because it's pink. It ain't dead. Which means it hurts. So when we're talking about healing, it's a process. Sometimes scars take a year, 2 years to heal, because they not only heal on the outside, they have to heal on the inside too. So you have to care for it. You have to nurture it. You have to put a little medicine on it. You got to blow on it sometimes. Sometimes every time you got to cover it. And so when we're talking about an individual supporting somebody that's healing, you have to be all of that. You have to cover it sometimes. You have to also put a little alcohol on it because it needs to burn it to clean out the infection, itself, right? Yeah. And when you're healing, it hurts. It hurts. So you have to be the person that can be there to be able to help them through the process of healing. Because healing is not quick. Healing is just not quick. And some healing takes a couple years. I had a hysterectomy in 2012. And so they told me that I would not totally be healed internally for 5 years from all the scars, and some of the scars on the inside would actually cause issues with some of the other organs on the inside. So let's talk about it. So when you talk about a person trying to get healed, they have to really go through a process. And if you're going to be there to support them, you have to understand that the healing is not a quick work and that it's going to take a little bit of time. And you just have to remember, as long as it hurts a little bit, as long as some pink under there, as long as the skin is still trying to grow back, the color is still trying to come back, that it's working.
It's working.
Now, when healing doesn't take place, then that's something totally different. That means it's infected. And sometimes, when we don't take care of ourselves in the healing process, it never heals. That's a whole nother
infection
section.
Starts in.
Absolutely. So then it becomes difficult to support that. But when you see that something is actually healing, that the individual is actually trying, then you definitely want to be a support to that individual. So I hope that answered. I try to give real
So we got one
life
more
scenarios.
question. We got one more question. then I want to know some stuff about next year.
Okay, great.
How do you forgive yourself?
It's a process.
It is.
It's a process.
It is a process. Because we become our biggest critic.
That's true.
And so we condemn ourselves to hell all day, every day. I even make the statement. We do.
That's true.
I even make the statement, like even with my kids, I was so broken. I was like, oh my God, I'm such a bad mother. And oh my, this is why my kids are going through all of this, because I didn't do everything that I was supposed to do. And if you just would have did what your mother said, why you didn't do what your mother said, Heather? Didn't your mother say not to do that? Because if you would have did it, you wouldn't be crack brained. And then, because that was her word, she'd be like, you crack brained. If you know what I'm saying? I used to be like, oh God, I'm crack brained. I didn't do what she told me to do. And so you condemn yourself. I'm not good enough. I just said that failure was not an option. But guess what? Failure is an option. It's a teachable moment. The reason why I'm where I'm at right now is because I failed. I failed at so many things. And so when we're talking about forgiveness is me getting up even though I failed and still trying to do it again. And the only way I could do that is if I forgive myself, because I felt that I wasn't good enough. So, on a daily basis, we have to always be finding ourselves at a place where we are forgiving ourselves. At one point, I used to have to look in the mirror and say, Heather, you're beautiful. And I would say it until I cried, because I never felt it. And so I would have to look at myself and say it until I felt that thing. And then I was like, oh my God, I really am beautiful. Like, I'm not a bad person. And that's where that forgiveness comes. That's where that self-identity comes. That's when I found out who Heather is. It don't matter what you think, because I know who I am and I know whose I am. That's a big piece of it, knowing who I am, and that God, He made me in the image, in the likeness of Him. And if He made me in the image and likeness of Him, oh my goodness. Like, really? You know what I'm saying? So it's a process that we have to kind of go through every day, because traumas cause us to always feel condemned and defeated, and always feel like we're not good enough. And then our neighbor, the people around us, everything that we see. My hair is not long enough. I'm not light enough. My eyes are a different color. I'm too dark. My teeth are bugged. I wear glasses. My body. We're in an identity crisis. We're always trying to figure out who we are. And all that comes from is being able to be okay with who we are. That whole self-forgiveness. And understanding that, hey, I'm okay with how I'm made. Yep, I need to make some changes. Yep, I probably need to not have these chips. I probably need to, not have a cookie or two. Maybe I need to go to the gym. But I'm still okay with who I am. Yeah. And so that is the important piece when we're talking about forgiveness.
And accepting that you are a work in progress, and you're not going to get it
today,
and you might not get it tomorrow.
And it's not your fault a lot of times.
It's coming.
Yeah, it's not your fault. And just to say this, I do victim therapy. And so a lot of my clients in victim therapy, because one of my specialties is working with kids who will be considered sex offenders. They have sexually maladaptive behaviors. And so when I'm dealing with the victims, the hardest part for them in forgiving themselves is the fact that, because of course we are sexual creatures, right? It don't matter how old you are, it still feels good at the end of the day. And so the hardest part when I'm working with my clients, the victims, is it is hard for them to forgive themselves because it feels good. And so that's just the nature of it. It feels good. But what I have to tell them is we are sexual creatures. So yes, by nature, it is supposed to feel good. But it doesn't feel good when it's your dad. It doesn't feel good when it's your mom. It doesn't take away the natural hormone that comes, that it feels good. Does that make sense? So then it's hard for them to forgive themselves, because they're like, oh my God, I can't forgive myself because it felt good. But then it was so you're torn. You're torn. So it's about being able to know that things are not always your fault. that we have to be able to, in some cases, take accountability for things, but not everything is your fault. Even when we're talking about, children and, their parents and the parents that you did not choose, that was chose for you. You know what I'm saying? So that plays a big part when we're just talking about forgiveness and being able to forgive yourself. Understanding that, this is we didn't choose. I didn't get to choose Mary and Homer. I didn't. God chose them for me. And although he chose them for me, everything that I went through, it was for purpose, and that I still have purpose. No matter what I went through. See, I can say that now because I didn't think I ever had purpose, but I still have purpose. So.
I love that. So, lesson that you learned 2018. I need to know the biggest lesson you learned 2018.
So the biggest lesson that I've learned in 2018 is that I am just human. Because I love Wonder Woman and everything she stands for.
Okay.
And so I always feel as though I can help everybody and rescue everybody and fix everybody. And I can't fix them. The only person that really can fix them is God. And that in order for a person to want to be free, because, I said be free and get free, they got to want it. They have to want the deliverance. And I had to learn that.
More than what you wanted for.
More than what I wanted. Because a lot of times I wanted it more than they did. I wanted it so bad. I'm just like, oh my God. I'm flipping and jumping and swinging from the chandeliers and all kind of stuff. And they just like, what? And so that was the biggest thing and the hardest. Because then I struggled with trust and cynicism, because I just be like, what? I'm confused. Like, how bad you want this? And so I'm like, okay, Lord, I can do this. I can make it happen, but I can't make it happen. You know what I'm saying? Like, I have to have somebody on the other end with me.
You only do so much.
Yes, I can't do it by myself. And then, like I said, they have to want it. So that was my biggest lesson in 2018, and then just forgiveness and dealing with my own personal insecurities, because I am a processor. I'm so analytical. I process, so I ruminate on things. If you said that you didn't like me or you did something, when I say I ruminate on it, I process that thing till it can't even be processed. I break that thing down so it can forever be broken. And then I'd be like, oh my God, Dominique said that she didn't like me. Okay, but why did she say that last week? And then when we went out, she acted like she liked me. And then I'm being so honest with you. Stop the madness, Heather. You have to take.
It don't have nothing to do with you.
Sometimes it has nothing to do with us. And guess what? Everybody got their own issues. And we're all dealing with different issues. But what is important, Dominique, is my response. And I have to make sure that I respond better. My response is better. You know what I'm saying? And my response can be better. And, we joke about it. Because my sister, she works my nerves, my baby sister. Her name is April. I love her to death. But she stayed on the call block for years. At times. It's inappropriate, Heather. It's not appropriate. I need to be able to respond appropriately and in my mind, because I know that I get frustrated in my anger. Remember, we talked about that whole anger thing. Mm-hmm. My thing is, so that I don't feel like I'm not in control, I say nothing. I just be like, you're on the call block because I can't even deal with you right now because it might not come out how I want it to come out. And you know what I'm saying? That could change the game. So in my mind, I'm like, I'm just going to put you on the, I'm going to block you. And then when I feel like I want to talk to you, I'll talk to you and I'll be rational. But that's still not appropriate. It's not appropriate.
Well, Miss Heather said that y'all ain't to that point. I will
Dominique
block
is
you.
not.
I will block you.
Dominique
just
is,
know that you can get blocked.
Dominique,
just know that. Camera, I need y'all to know that. Y'all can't get blocked with me.
You can block for a few days where you not respond in emotions. See, that's the difference. I would never want you to respond emotionally, because after you have settled, after you've thought about it, and you've also taken accountability for what you've done, then your response will be a little bit different. You'll have a little bit of mercy. That's all I'm saying.
I ain't there yet, y'all. I'm working on it. I ain't there yet. So,
I love it. I'm going to help you, Dominique.
So I need everybody to put in their plugs. We're going to start with Tyron. Tyron, I need you to put in your plug real quick.
My show is BZNZ Internet Talk Radio. We'll be back in the new year. Not the first week of January, but it'll be the second week. We're just going to get it started by talking about New Year's resolutions and things like that. I really don't believe in them, but we're going to talk about them.
I'm going to come crash that show. Whether Tyron know it or not, I'm going to come crash that show.
Or get crashed.
You tried me.
So your baby sister's on
don't
here.
Don't do me.
She said, I rebuke the call block in Jesus' name. April's on here.
I just said that I no longer call block. And I love my baby sister. Okay. She is my, she tugs on me in the spirit, but she prays for me silently. And I love it.
Okay.
Yeah. She tugs on me, but she's a silent little weapon. She all right.
So I'm going to let you put your plug in. How can people get in touch with you?
Well, you can definitely, I have my book, which is I Am in Orange, Uncompromisingly. It's a great book. You have to be uncompromising in your pursuit to purpose. Remember, I said everybody got a purpose. So definitely you can find my book on Amazon. You can go on my webpage, which is www.heather_henley.com. You can find me on Facebook, and on Facebook it's under Arthur Heather Henley. On Twitter and Instagram it is Heather_Henley. For Twitter it's #Heather_Henley. So definitely check me out. You'll be able to follow me there. I do have some up and coming events that I'm working on right now. I'm starting on a second book. I just finished my dissertation, yes. Okay. And so I will be a doctor in May. I'm so excited. Oh my God. I'm going to be starting a book tour and a book signing coming up shortly. I'm planning on doing a conference possibly in March or April. I'm kind of working on the details now. So definitely just follow me on Facebook. I'm going to start doing more Facebook Lives just on, any type of mental health topics. I started off on stabilizing emotions. It's really important. We just kind of talk about that. You can't respond in emotion. You have to wait until you calm down a little bit, Dominique, because your response will be different then.
I'm going to have to sit in on that Facebook Live.
Yes. So definitely I'm going to be doing, starting in January 2019, I'm going to be doing Facebook Lives every Wednesday at 7. And so it's going to be the Master Crisis Therapist, Teachable Moments. So that'll be fun. So hopefully, guys, you'll tune in for like 10 minutes just to get some tidbits to help you through the week. Because, we deal with so many different things during the week. And I want to definitely be able to help and bless others and give as much knowledge as I can give. So, you have anything, Robin?
Yes, just a correction. That website is www.heather-henley.com, not underscore.
Thank you. That must have been my sister Toyinda.
I was just...
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
So, tomorrow, you guys got to tune in tomorrow from 6 to 7:30. We have Straight Foolery Podcast taking over tomorrow. I'm very nervous because I do not know what to expect or what they are planning. So, make sure you guys tune in. We're bringing in the new year with them. We're going to sit at home, have a few drinks with us. Even though you can't be here, we'll have a couple drinks in the studio, and we're going to have a good time. So, tune in tomorrow from 6 to 7:30. And the next show after that, we're going to be in the new year. So, you guys got to tune in to see what we got planned. So, we'll see you we'll see you tomorrow at Unapologetically Dominique. See y'all later. Bye. Bye.